Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and welcome back to the channel. And honestly, the middle class are financially screwed. You have inflation, you have jobs, you have the stock market being down like crazy, and you also have like nobody, basically almost anybody out there, can barely afford a house. Things have gotten so expensive. So when I say financially screwed, I really do mean it. And one thing I've noticed is that all the solutions on YouTube are basically guys telling you, hey, what you need to do is to budget and then invest some money, and then in 30 years, you're gonna have some money. And that sounds great, right? I can't stand that advice because in reality, when you make your budget, you realize, hey, the reason I'm in debt and I can't afford anything is because literally I don't make enough money to support any type of life, okay? And then when they say, hey, invest some money, you're like, okay, I'm gonna invest some money. But then the real problem is that, well, you're telling me that the only time I get to enjoy some sort of wealth is 30 years into the future. So for right now, I just live very miserably. I've never liked that idea. So this video is not about get a budget. It's not about start investing money and then in 30 years you're going to be good. And it's also not about, hey, stop drinking your Starbucks coffee because apparently if you go to Starbucks, you're gonna be broke, okay? The truth is that that is not the real solution. In this video, I'm gonna give you real solutions and how to make sure that you are okay when it comes to you personally not being financially screwed, okay? That is the whole goal. That is the whole mission of this video. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it and not waste any time. And as always, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified because I do post videos every single week on money, making money, and saving you money. That's the whole idea here. Now, the very first thing, guys, I gotta say this is, I hate when people say, well, if you're a part of the middle class, you're supposed to have money, but in reality, you're basically just wasting money, and you must be really irresponsible. The truth is, I've been a part of the lower class, and I mean lower class when you're a kid and you have like dress clothes. They have to be bigger because you can't afford to change them whenever you do grow. That was my life. I've been a part of the middle class when you're like, hey, we're here, middle class, we're here. And you're like, well, I don't see the money. Where is the money here? Where is the American dream part? And then because of that, of what I realized, I got to the upper class, but it wasn't because things kind of worked out for me. I had to work very hard at it and be very intentional about it. And it did not just happen by me investing and having a budget, okay? And stop drinking Starbucks. That's not how I got there. But in this video, you'll figure out exactly how to do it for yourself. Now, here's a big problem, okay? If you are a part of the middle class, to be a part of it, all you really need to do is make a little bit above $30,000 a year and make no more than $90,000 a year. Now, this might sound like a lot of money to you, but if you live in California, I ran your taxes, okay? But because I'm an accountant, okay? I like doing tax stuff. Now, I realized that after taxes, you're bringing in home around $26,000. And you might think, wow, so I go from 31,000 to 26,000. Yeah, that's around $500 a week. That's around $12.50 an hour. And the minimum wage, by the way, in America is around $7.50 or 25. I say $7.25. Whenever I say that, no one believes me. Because they're like, Tommy, that's not true. I make 15 bucks an hour. The answer is not every state pays you that much money. Most of them don't. And most of them are trying to do that, but in the next 4 years, right now, there are a lot of people out there earning $7.25 an hour, and they got to figure life out like that, okay? So overall, how can you possibly get ahead in life when you got student loan debt, you have credit card debt, you have personal loan debt, you have a mortgage or you have a rent to pay, and you're also worried about, hey, what am I going to do for food, transportation, utilities, and all of your other bills? Because you basically notice that, hey, I am living paycheck to paycheck. And that's where you see that 40% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 expense. That's where you see that most Americans live paycheck to paycheck because most of the money is just not enough to cover all the things they basically have to pay for. Now, again, this isn't CNN. It's not Fox News. It's not Yahoo Finance. None of that stuff. I'm not here to scare you. Some stuff I say is scary. It is. It really is. But I'm here to also give you solutions. Now, here are 3 of the main problems that the middle class are basically facing. First one is You have the job problem. Right now, great. We have a surplus of jobs because we shut down the economy, pumped businesses with a ton of money. That created a ton of jobs. People didn't want to work because they were getting paid money not to work in a sense. But now they're going to start returning to the job economy. And you know what? When people that are about to retire cannot afford to retire, like my grandpa, for example, they stay in there longer. So when people like you and me graduate from college, we can't get a job because a lot of those people can't afford to live because they can't afford it, okay? So they got to keep working. It's a crazy system. It's not that great, but there is a solution for that too, as far as jobs come and go, okay? Now, second thing is the housing market. Prices have gone up around 20%. The average home sale has been for around $374,000. Notice I'm not looking at my notes because basically all this stuff is just burned into my brain. I can't make up this stuff, okay? And when you think about it, in real estate, you have this little rule of thumb, okay? And it says, hey, if you want to know if you can afford a house, just multiply your household income by 2.6. So, hey, if you're making, hey, you're middle class, right? So let's say you're like middle class, making like $50,000 a year. Well, just multiply that by, well, you have 2.6. And that's the home you can afford. Now you show me a home that's going for this much money. California, New York, Florida, wherever you are, show me a home going for this much money. The answer is, it's kind of scarce. Because if you're making, for example, at the lower end of middle class in a sense, well, in reality, the average home that's going for $374,000, that is 12 times more than basically your income. I mean, it's crazy. How can you afford it? And if you're at the upper tier, up at $90,000, well, in reality, that's still around 4 times more your income. That's ridiculous. And when you really look at it, the average millionaire, this is a secret, by the way, you're going to learn this by the end of this video. The average millionaire, whenever they buy a home, they make sure it's no more than 1.5 their household income a year. So whenever they buy a home that they can basically pay for very quickly and very fast. More on that later. Don't worry, you're going to learn more in this video. But the last big problem is that you also have is the amount of money people are making. People assume that basically, well, if I'm earning more money, that must mean I'm doing a lot better. But in reality, it's all relative, okay? Because if I take you to Venezuela and I give you 1,000,000 pesos or what do they use over there, Bolivar? If I give you that much money, what do you buy with that? A carton of eggs? Like, you can't buy anything. So the dollar amount of what you make is basically only important and justified by what you can actually buy with that, okay? So over the past like 30 years, like 3 decades, the earning potential or earning power of the American has gone up by around 30-something%. That means if you used to earn $1, well, now you're making $1.36, okay? A lot more money in the past 30 years. But in reality, just in the past 22 years, inflation has eroded 40% of the buying power. Now, you might say, Tommy, I don't care about that stuff, okay? Well, you should care. And here's why. Because eventually, you'll retire. Eventually, your income's going to be lower. And eventually, you'll be the one on Social Security and waiting on checks. And if your checks are basically the same amount of money, but then in a few years, you can buy basically 40% less with the same money, you are going to have to go back to work. And that's why you see a lot of people that are retired go back to work because they can't afford it. So in 22 years, we lose 40%. In 3 decades, we gain 36%. That means we're not really going anywhere. The dollar amount might increase, but inflation is tearing everything apart. So what is the solution here? What can you actually do? So the number one solution is not to worry about Starbucks. It's not to worry about investing. It's not to worry about a budget right now. The number one solution that I've noticed that makes a big difference is going to be the amount of money you earn. Okay, and that means if you have a job that pays you $30,000 a year, well, it's better to invest that money, not invest into the stock market, put it back into the economy. The economy doesn't care about you, okay? The number one, although, by the way, I'm not saying those things are not important. I'm not saying budget is not important. I'm not saying managing your wants isn't important, but I'm saying that you're going to get a bigger return on your investment if you put that money to work on yourself in a skill to be able to earn more money. There are a lot of jobs out there that that pay you between $40 to $50 to even $80,000, and it don't require you to be in school for 8 years or whatever, okay? That's not a requirement. That's just one part though. That's one thing that helps a lot, the job you actually have. But second is going to be not to follow the herd. You know, one big thing that I see is basically in America, you have, how do you turn this down? It embarrassed me. You see a lot of sheeps, okay? A lot of people are basically just sheeps. They follow the herd. They follow the path that everybody follows. They go to college, they graduate, bunch of debt, then they go ahead, they get their first apartment, or they buy a house, they get married, they have some kids, and they have some cars. It's like the same exact formula. You know, finance and money is the only place that you don't want to be the average person. You don't want to be what the masses do, because the masses are usually broke. They usually don't have enough money, like I mentioned before in this entire video. And when I first started off, I was also a part of that group. Most likely you are. But once you realize all this stuff, that's when you say, well, you know what I don't want to be? I don't want to be a part of the masses. I want to make a change. I want to make a difference. And all those things are important, like budgeting, Starbucks, all this stuff. All that stuff is important. But overall, the number one thing is going to be, hey, you need to raise your income. And second, you need to stop following what everyone is doing. So forget about going to college. Forget about buying a home. Forget about all these things. And before you say, Tommy, are you crazy? Like, what are you telling me here, okay? It's a crazy video. Well, here is some information that I really want to lock in and point out, okay? Because sometimes you only hear something, but you don't know where the facts are coming from. And here's what I learned. 53% of college graduates, they can't find a job. And the ones that do find a job, they're basically working a job that doesn't require a bachelor's degree. It's like, I spent all this money to go to school, graduate. You don't need this, but I'm here now. Plus all this debt. Now, what I mean by that is to say, hey, whenever you go to college, it's very important. If you go to college, you go to trade school, you get a certificate, whatever you do, understand, don't be a sheep. Don't just follow the herd. Don't just go because everyone's going. It's very important you pick something that is going to make financial sense. Not all degrees are made equal, okay? Going to become a psychologist, business management, you usually trash degrees. I gotta be honest with you, okay? So you gotta find a degree that actually makes sense. And when you go to college, you're making an investment with your time and money. So it's important that whatever you go into, that is actually gonna be a necessity for whatever you're planning to do in life. But if you don't know what you wanna do, then why would you go somewhere that costs you money while you're trying to figure it out? That's not a good idea. Second thing I learned is, guys, okay? 38% of the homes in America, they're paid. Like paid off, mortgage free. Why am I telling you this? Because that's one piece of the equation, but the other piece is basically that 54% of those homes are paid off by people that have a low income, that earn less than $25,000. Now you might say, Tommy, that you're joking, right? There's nothing out there like that. The answer is there is, okay? And what I mean is this, okay? If you live somewhere where homes are really selling for $374,000, the answer is you just don't buy any. It's okay to rent. That is a service. I don't see anybody buying an internet company because they don't want to waste money on internet, right? Like you got to do it. You're not going to build a whole company. Same thing with a house. If you can't afford a home right now because they're very expensive, the answer is, well, it's okay. Just pause, save up money for the down payment, keep saving up, and then you reconsider. Do I really want to live here or do I not want to live here? Do I want to live somewhere else where my cost of living is going to be a lot lower? Or can I potentially get another job that I can work from home and basically operate my lifestyle this way? And that way, I don't have to worry about buying a crazy expensive home. I know someone that did this, okay? They moved to Puerto Rico. They earned the same amount of money, but they bought a home for cash. They can afford it. And they basically live here. Their cost of living is so cheap relative to what they used to basically live in, for example, New York. And that's me, okay? And I was going to go to Florida or Texas or wherever I wanted to go because I figured out, hey, if I stay in this state here that's so expensive, I can buy it, but to pay it off is going to be absolutely ridiculous. So that's what I did. Now, the third thing I realized is that the average middle-class household has a massive amount of payments. Remember when I told you that $31,000 is nothing when you have car payments, credit card payments, mortgages, and you have all the stuff? Because basically, those are the big things that screw people over. Again, It's not gonna be the Starbucks. It's not gonna be the lack of investments, although it's important, but that's not it. It's not gonna be the lack of budget. It's gonna be messing up on the very big things. So going to college when you don't know what you want to do, graduating, degree is not needed, but now you have 20 something thousand dollars in student loan debt. You're making a $300, $400 payment a month. That's a lot of money. So that already is money being taken out of your paycheck. So that's gone. Then you go ahead and you buy a car. The average new car is bought by someone that makes around $60,000, like the household, and they buy for like around $30,000 plus. Like half their what they make a year is like in a car purchase, and the payment is like $600 something a month. Like, all right, so then that's gone. And then you have, for example, also credit card debt, which is like the average is like $4,000, $6,000. Well, that's also gone. The answer is, if you really hold off on a lot of things in life and you're just a little bit more patient, you end up not having all those things to worry about. And when you end up not having those things to worry about, you end up being a lot more capable of advancing in life without having all these things holding you back. All right, that's the solution here. The solution is avoid all that dumb stuff that they tell us to basically do. And understand that the economy is built to function based on the economy, to help the economy, not to help you on a personal basis. The economy grows by people spending money, more money, hiring more folks, buying homes, all this stuff. Doesn't matter if it's convenient to you or not convenient to you. That's how it grows. So you have to do what works best for you and your family. And that might mean patience and savings. And one big thing that I'm very happy right now that we don't have is hyperinflation, where if you save $10,000, by next month, you're only able to buy $5,000 worth of goods. That's some scary stuff too, but that's not happening right now, so don't worry about it. But Tommy, the last thing I do want to share with you guys is, Tommy, but what if I'm already here? Like, what if I'm already middle class? What if I already have the car payment? What if I already have the house? What if I already have the personal loans, the credit cards? And it almost makes me want to cry, because I know so many people that are hurting like this, including my people that are my family, people that are in my church. A lot of people are screwed because they were told by their parents, all these cattle, what do you call this? Like all these cardinal rules of life, that this is the way you do things, and they go to school, they can't find a job, they buy the home they can't afford, they get into all the credit card debt to kind of keep up with the whole thing, they get leases on cars, they buy cars they can't afford, and it's just horrible. So what do you do if you are already there? The answer is, you're gonna have to destroy your ego. I mean, that's the number one thing a lot of the time. So you think about it, well, how do I go back to church? How do I go back to my job? How do I go back to my friends and tell them, hey, why are you driving that Toyota? What happened to your Lexus or your Mercedes? Oh, I had to give it back. Couldn't afford it. I had to sell it. I mean, the good thing right now is that right now is the perfect time to make a change. Because right now you can sell a used car for a profit, which has never been seen before. So if you have a very expensive car and you can't afford it, sell it, okay? Sell it. Get a cheap car for $500, $1,000, but it's not reliable, but it's all you can afford. I mean, when I was wearing those clothes and they were ripped up, the answer is, but it's not reliable. I know. This is all I got. You know what I'm saying? It's all I got. And I was a teenager shopping over at Goodwill because that's all I could afford. So it's the same thing. Not because something is inconvenient or hard, it doesn't excuse you to actually do the other thing. It just means that that's where you are right now. So that means you sell the car, you buy something cheap in the meantime. Something cheap and reliable like a Toyota, Honda, or Mazda. And then you have the student loan debt. I mean, that's something you have to pay off, okay? Like little by little, but you got to pay it off. And then you have the mortgage. The worst thing ever, and I always say this, I always pray for this. I always say, like, I never want to receive something and have it taken from me. So I want to make sure whenever I do buy it, I can afford it, so I don't have to go through that. But if you already bought a home and you can't afford it, and it's basically just stealing everything from you, and you're like, this house is so beautiful, but it's so awful because it takes everything. The answer is, you have to consider, you sell a property. You sell it. Right now, the market is awesome. You might have bought it for $300,000. You can sell it for $350,000. You sell it. But what do I do now? You rent for a while. You rent for a while for a lot cheaper, whether it's a studio, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, whatever you can afford, and you rent for a while you figure things out. Just because you're bad off right now and you started off wrong doesn't mean you can't finish correctly. And if you have like credit card debt and all that stuff, well, you start to fix it, right? You do get that budget and you start to cut those credit cards and you start to pay them off little by little. And then if you ask me, if you made it all the way to this part of the video, I know you're serious about this stuff, but If you're gonna comment down below serious and then your comment, or just serious support the channel, because this way I know you're not a robot or a bot, and I know that you're a real person, and I will reply to you. I promise you that. I spend all my time in the comments, responding to comments, but comment down below serious and then your comment. That way I know it is you and you're actually serious about it, because you made it all the way here. But the big thing is, if it's okay to mess up, but you fix it in the end. And the whole plan that I made, remember when I told you I was the lower class, then I became middle class, and I was like, well, I'm here, but where's the money? Well, big things I made were, I sold everything. I sold absolutely everything. I focused on paying off my debt first using the avalanche method. Look it up on YouTube, my name, you'll find a video on it. Then I focused on saving up 6 months worth of emergencies. Now, because my job is YouTube and investing, these jobs can like go up and down like crazy. So I saved up 12 months because 12 months to me makes me feel a lot safer. Once that's done, then I focused on, hey, I'm gonna invest 10 to 20% of my income. Just that, not no more, just that. And put it, for example, into your retirement accounts. That money over time is gonna keep growing. And then with the rest of the money, you focus on saving up to buy a home. I bought a home here in Puerto Rico for $130,000 in cash. I was very fruitful. What's that word? I was very grateful to be able, and very lucky to be able to do that, okay? But it took a lot of time. There was 5 years in between me saving up that money that people don't know about. But it took a while to save up all that money to actually buy that home. Now I have the home. It's being remodeled. I'm going to be moving in by Tuesday. That's my home. I own it. It's mine. It took a while to actually get, though. And once you're doing this stuff and you actually buy the home using the 33% rule on a 15-year mortgage, when you buy that home, you'll be able to pay it off a lot faster. Now, I do have a course on this stuff. The link is down below. I'm not trying to sell you anything. If you look up all the things I said on YouTube, you'll find it. I have the free content. But if you want everything organized and nice, step by step, and you want to invest into yourself, the link is down below to buy the course, also along with a discount. So that is it, guys. The middle class is screwed. And if you're a part of the middle class, you will be screwed unless you make changes. You don't have to be screwed, okay? That's the whole idea, and that's the lesson here. I didn't just want to make a video to tell you, hey, this is scary stuff because it is scary, and come back tomorrow so I can give you some more scary stuff because that's just views and money. But I wanted to give you, hey, this stuff is scary, but here's the solution. And here's the problem between that you need to fix to actually help out. So saving money on coffee isn't going to fix it. Having a little budget isn't going to fix it. Investing 10 bucks a month isn't going to fix it. But it's making those big changes that are going to fix it. Car, credit cards, just debt overall. That's the one big thing that holds a lot of people back. And buying something they can't afford. Your first home doesn't need to be a crazy home. It just needs to be a home you can afford. And then later on, if you want to buy another one that's bigger and nicer, you can afford it then, you buy it then. But patience, delayed gratification, and delayed gratifications are two things that are going to help you out a lot in life. But thanks for watching. That is it. As always, comment down below with serious. That way I know it's a real person. Up here is another video. Here is my face. Click and subscribe. And thanks for watching. As always, long-term team officially out.